Welcome in. It is ATB at the buzzer. Timmy, Adam, Billy. I guess if we're going in order for the ATB at the buzzer, we did this on purpose. It's Adam and Timmy, Billy.
Got to be first.
With the newly minted Rubber Shoes wrap up, we'll talk about that. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. Above and beyond that, we've got so much to unpack this week. The Red Sox, I'm going to complain about something really stupid because it's what I do. The Celtics, we have to get into the Bruins and the goalie, who is Wally Pipping, the one and only Tuca. And of course, we want to talk about the draft, which I think Adam's hiding something behind him right now about the Derby, not the draft, but it's all
the Derby.
related.
Yeah.
And of course, above and beyond all of that, we do want to talk about the Derby and the fact that it would have made more sense for me to just drive to Louisville and hand them my money in person than go on to Twin Spires. It took me longer to build my relationship with the app to waste my money than my money was gone. And what do they call it? The fastest minute and 20 seconds or whatever the lap is. I don't know. It was
the most exciting 2 minutes in sports.
Okay. All right.
It didn't feel that way.
It was until you lost, right? It was exciting until you found out you didn't win anything.
Honest to God. So, let's get, we're going to, because there's so much with the draft and the Derby. So we'll get there. The Red Sox, 3 out of 4 dropping to Texas, which is a horror show. The whole Globe Life Stadium used to be Globe Life Park or the other way around. I appreciate that they're going to use their old venue down in Texas for high school sports because down in Texas, high school sports are huge.
Yeah.
I love that they're not leveling it. The fact that they rebuilt and it's gorgeous. And then you get on the actual artificial field. You have an $8 trillion facility with a retractable roof.
Right.
And you're going to, here come the naysayers. Well, it's really difficult because it gets super hot and it's a dry heat. Shut up, first of all. How much money did you spend to build this field of sorrow, right? Where we went and lost. So I really shouldn't be complaining too much. And then you put in field turf.
Would you be complaining about this though if the Red Sox won 3 of 4?
Absolutely, it was my top bullet point. Like we could have won the World Series over the weekend,
Okay,
and I wrote this down in lipstick on the back of my hand. It's the first thing I could
the only way they'd be able to do it is the way they do it in Phoenix is they have to have the grass go outside the stadium so it can grow, and then they bring it back in for game day. They probably can't do that in a baseball stadium because they got to use it every day.
Why can't they grow it inside the stadium? I don't understand.
It's a dome. There's probably not enough. Like they have a retractable roof. It's probably not open enough to get enough sun in there for it to grow.
Oh.
So we have the seedless watermelon. We have we have a nation that's working on their 5th or 6th vaccine.
Sure.
For something we discovered a year ago.
Right.
There are guys in Carhartt jackets 2 miles from my office growing weed indoors. We can't figure out grass for a baseball field.
Well, if you saw my yard, you'll figure out they haven't perfected grass yet.
No,
mine too. I'm the same way.
You haven't perfected.
I did the same thing I've done the last 3 years, and this year it's not doing the same thing.
Well, they talk about this all the time, though. If you watch any of the DIY networks, they talk about shaded seed and all this stuff. Like I just find it fascinating. Now it's not as bad. What is more difficult to watch is that garage down in Tampa Bay. that is like that shag rug at your great grandmother's house that it's been so matted down, and Lord knows what else is in it, but like it's just really matted down. Like their field turf at that place that should be lit on fire is horrible.
Are we go ahead. I was going to say, are we the only a-holes that are talking about this? Like, in other words, is the podcast team from Tampa coming up to Fenway Park and bitching about the fact that there's, the seats are 3 inches too small for everybody's ass?
Just because we
and the right field seats face center field
to build that place during, was it a famine? No, it wasn't really a famine. It was really during the Depression. I apologize. When nobody could afford to be fat. Right. So that's, yes, I, as a man of buoyancy, I do not enjoy the seats at Fenway. I'm not saying that I do. At the same time, how dare they come up and judge anything about Fenway? It's a
Right.
cathedral.
I mean, I
of
agree.
baseball. Yes.
But I'm just wondering if we're the only ones talking about the turf.
I'm pointing out because at first look, I thought to myself, there's no way they did. Right. At first look, I'm like, that is gorgeous. Oh, it's fake. Like as soon as I was mentally complimenting it in my head, I'm like, it's fake field turf, which I just find with all the technology, with everything you're doing to deliver that ballpark experience, they laid down a carpet is mind boggling to me. Now you could argue, okay, but when you go to all these NFL stadiums, they're putting down field turf. Timmy never complains about that. I don't. That takes a lot of wear and tear, a lot of abuse. Right. They're playing on that through, because they're not playing baseball in the pouring rain. They're playing football in the pouring rain and all the elements, and it's getting
right.
The foot traffic that you're seeing in the outfield at a ballpark, really, Barbara, like lay down some shaded seed, bring in some weed growers from Maine. I could throw a rock out my office window and find you a few right now. Like the fact that we can't grow grass indoors is not a thing. It's not a thing. They're out of their minds.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. And there's nothing that says baseball to me, like when they mow the different designs into the field. I mean, that's magic. You turn on your TV and you check it out and you're like, oh, look what they did this time. You know, that to me is part and parcel of baseball. I can't do that in the turf, right?
I'm sure they're coming up with a tool that will wave the synthetic blades of grass to and fro. I'm sure they're going to figure it out now. If they're taking notes down in Texas, and they're not because they hate us, but that's beside the point. I just
that's funny. I watched all 4 games. I didn't even realize they had.
See, this is why I'm here. This is what I bring to the table.
Tim, what did you think of the color of the uniforms? Let's get into that.
And
I love the Rangers uniforms last night.
What's that?
I love the uniforms the Rangers had last night.
I love that Nike has leaned into the powder blue wherever they can squeeze it in.
Yep.
Like Toronto's doing powder blue. They're doing powder blue. Our good friend Alex out in San Diego, who is the public address announcer for the San Diego Padres. The Padres finally left what they were trying to do with their thing, and they went back to the brown. And I'm gonna get the colors wrong because everybody gets very violent when you get the colors wrong. It's
brown and light brown.
No, it's brown and gold and brown and yellow or whatever. But they went back to their historic colors, which are super cool, and I think it looks awesome. I love that.
We have the Rubber Shoes Roundup. We're gonna have to have Timmy's fashion corner where you can talk about all the different.
It's fine. I love uniform stuff. I absolutely do. But I think the field turf at Texas is that's a swing and a miss. They could have figured it out.
Yeah,
it's an odd choice, and when somebody, and I don't know. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. When somebody like tears an ACL because they twisted their leg on that stupid carpet they laid down, I don't know. It's just for a baseball park, it's really strange to invest that much money and then go fake when you have a retractable roof. Because I think
it is a little weird too because they spend all this money on keeping the athletes, in good shape, and they've got millions and millions of money of dollars locked up in doctors and physical therapists and massage therapists and nutritionists and all this crap, and then you go have them run around on cement. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
The field turf is way different, and it reacts like real sod for the most part, but it's just an odd choice. It's a weird
it's much better than the old AstroTurf. The old AstroTurf was really like a half an inch of green turf.
That was your Italian grandmother's backyard.
Yeah.
On cement.
So what do we think about the Red Sox themselves, though? I mean, dropping 3 out of 4 in Texas is not a real warm and fuzzy.
I'll take the blip on the radar, quite honestly. I like when they come racing like 0-3, you're like, crap, this is not what I'm looking for, right? And then they start to pick up speed. I'll take the blip on the radar because I think anytime that we have a remarkable pre-All-Star session, it goes to hell in a handbasket afterwards. And I think I think the hitting has been, the offense has been pretty good. As now we're getting into these tight games and they can't seem to pull it out. Or what happened the other night? It was he threw a changeup and it just got zoned, like it flew right over the plate, and he got taken deep. And I think some people that they need better hitting out of. I think who's been struggling. Cordero's not been hitting the way they need him to.
Yes, right? He hasn't hit at all.
Yeah.
They're expecting a little bit more out of him, and that's a struggle for sure.
I'm not a professional scout, but from what I've watched,
but he plays one.
Don't throw him anything except an off-speed pitch because he goes to swing for it and they just drop off the plate and he's not even close.
Yeah. Well, I think we've had it pretty good so far this at the start of the season. So one bad series is not gonna, like you said, a blip on the radar at this point.
Well, it's the thing.
Hopefully, it doesn't turn
trap.
into something.
It's the analytical, the ones that the analytics.
The analytics. Wow, that's an adult show. It'll be on later tonight.
So they want guys with the launch angle, the spin rate, and that's what Bobby Dahlbeck is. That's what Franchi Cordero is, and that's what Hunter Renfroe is, and they all suck. I want someone to hit the ball, not they swing and miss way too much with guys on base.
Yeah.
Well, and
we need guys like the guys behind you in your poster. I mean, those guys were baseball players.
Yeah, I'm like we get a different angle of the home office every week.
I love it.
Yeah, this is
we need a
tour
tour of it
we have going right now because he couldn't figure out his other camera. There's a higher we have a blimp cam that he can't get working, which is part of the show at this point. There's some trouble with the tech at Rubbish's house, as always.
Okay.
Just in.
So moving on to the Celtics, I have to reference the fact that another like fascinating loss. I unfortunately joined, I think golf wrapped up. I flipped over and sure enough, Marcus Smart had just punched somebody at the 50-yard line. And there was like a 5 or 19-minute break. I lost track of time. I'm like, I'm falling asleep at this point.
Yeah.
And then by the time I checked back in, then Jalen and JT collided.
Right.
And they left. And I don't know. I haven't seen anything today on the status of their health and whether everybody's okay, because it was a pretty bad collision.
So Tatum came out, spoke to the media last night. He says he feels okay, but there has been no word from Brown.
Okay.
And he took the worst of it.
The NBA is infuriating, though. I mean, I love NBA basketball. I will watch it. Everybody says, "Oh, college basketball is so much better." I love the NBA. I love watching it. I think the Celtics are a fun team to watch, even when they're losing. But that being said, it's so infuriating because they have slowed it down so much. The replays and, like the ejection of Marcus Smart. I agree. It dragged on and on and on. It's like in the 80s, you would just throw the guy out, put the ball out of bounds and let them start playing again,
Well, they wouldn't get thrown out for something like that back then.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Not at all. Yeah, Bill Lambier punched the reree's wife and he was like, all right, head back in there. Like
clothesline, Larry Bird.
And tape him up and he'd head back in. So it's, I couldn't figure out what they were dealing with. And I'm like, what are they watching? Like, what are they trying to determine at this point?
It's so
exhausting. Yeah, they reviewed it for 6 minutes and it's like, okay, if you have to review something for that long, just go with the original call.
That's right.
Yep. And it didn't. And honestly,
then you have to deal with.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say. Then you have to deal with the announcers too. Going, I think they're probably looking at it here, and if you see his hand goes right across the face of the referee, it's like, for God's sakes, everybody can see what's happening. Why are they reviewing it? And you don't need to tell us about it. Let's just put something else that's entertaining on until we get to the answer because it's exhausting.
I just don't think from looking at it 38 times. And that was for the 4 minutes I was there. God help them.
Yeah.
Stayed. It didn't look that egregious. Like, I don't feel like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, somebody's paw hit somebody in their garbage for sure. Like that happened.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, there was a little extra flail. I don't know. I just don't feel like it was that big a deal. And for them to review it that long is probably the most remarkable part of all of that. Because any momentum that anybody had going just came to a close, right?
Yeah. And so I want to ask you guys. I love Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart has always been sort of the heart of the Celtics. But there's always this rumor and this sort of like undercurrent of getting rid of him. And I'm wondering if you think that he's becoming more of a problem than a solution for the Celtics.
No, I wouldn't. I think he is what Terry Rozier was before. I think we need his fight on the bench.
Yeah.
And this is me going back to what I said last week. Like, this is where I just get emotional about anytime we make a move or a trade, somebody has to go. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want to keep them all. I want the chocolate one too, give me all the flavors. And the fact that he'd have to be part of any conversation, or if he would be part of any conversation, I think I think we lose a whole bunch of testosterone if he leaves the locker room.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
I'd be shocked. I also think there has been he's great in the clubhouse. I agree with that. I think he's also he can have his super smart moments, and then he has really bad moments where he should take one more look and transfer the ball one more time. And
Yes.
he's just like it's that scene from Along Came Polly. Rain dance, and he's just throwing up threes, and it's like whacking up. Like,
Yeah.
and he's not. I'm not saying he's that bad a shooter. I just think there's sometimes when he shouldn't be taking the final look. Somebody else could be open, and
He
just
should
doesn't.
never be taking the final look. Never.
Well, I shouldn't say final look. When you shoot the ball, you clearly decided you got the final look. That's what I mean.
I see
Taking
what
the
you're saying.
next
Yeah,
look
yeah.
is
Oh,
what I
God.
mean.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's not your guy. Like we have one play, 0.3 on the clock.
Right.
Marcus, like,
But he
no.
thinks he is, though. That's the problem. He thinks he is.
Well, and this is the going back to the whole thing with Perk and the hotel room and the throne, right? And the fact that when he said stuff, it sort of got everybody's energy moving differently. I think this speaks to, and I love Brad, and clearly he turned down $70 million to go to college. I love him, and I think maybe his bark isn't loud enough in the locker room that he can set that tone and say, you know what, that is not your role. But Rubber Shoes, what do you think? I love Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I do love him as well. Like he's a dirt dog. He does the extra diving on the floor.
Yeah.
But I do think he thinks he's better than he really is. Like I think he thinks he's part of the big three.
Yes.
Where he's clearly not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely thinks he's part of the big
I
three.
don't want to see him go though, because you need that grittiness there. But I think they need to get, which I thought they got with Tristan Thompson, that the veteran that's not going to be afraid to speak his mind to the other players, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. They need someone that's the alpha dog and put everyone else in their place. He doesn't have to be the best player. He just has to be able to, like what Perkins did on Twitter to Tatum, but they need that in the locker room.
Well, and they also need him too, because how many times in the playoffs has he stepped up and made a stop? When they desperately needed it, or
defensively, he's the best guy. He's the best player. He'll take on centers, which is amazing.
Right.
Wouldn't that be a great survey monkey if Brad just sent out a survey monkey as a team? Like, who do you think is the big three? Tell him it's anonymous, right? Wait a second. Jason.tatum@celtics.com. He's going to know this is me.
You can't vote twice, Jason.
Yeah. Not Marcus at yahoo.net. Oh, boy. Honest to God. I want to jump into the Bruins real quick and get Rubber Shoes' take on this, because I love that you've become like the Bruins aficionado.
It's amazing.
He went from La Habitant to like suddenly he's like, he's got like Bobby Orr bed sheets and the whole 9 yards. So, and look at the hat. Look at the hat.
Oh, he's got the hat on today.
Yeah,
it's the they're the only one playing tonight.
Yep.
So I had to wear the Bruins today.
I like how you're dialed in, Rubber Shoes. I like how you're dialed in.
Do you think he's stealing that job?
What? Like for the playoffs, or you think next year?
Yes, I check both boxes. Yes, yeah.
I don't see them starting Swayman over Rask in the playoffs this year, but I can definitely see them not bringing Rask back next year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I agree with you, because I think if you throw the kid into the playoffs and then he melts, that's a huge waste of a lot of talent, because he could be, he could.
But look what happened with St. Louis and Bennington a couple of years ago. They threw him in and he won the Stanley Cup. So it's like part of you, like maybe that's what we need to get over the top. But then you don't want to kill his, help me.
His mojo. What?
Yeah. His mojo. Yeah.
His confidence. You don't want to kill his confidence and then him be shot forever.
So who do you think is the person that's going to be the the unsung hero of the run. Should we make a run, which I think they're poised to.
I think it's that second line
with the Patriots. And what's that? The second line?
Yeah. Krejci and Taylor Hall and Craig Smith. They've been phenomenal since the trade. And that's what they need. So in the playoffs in the past, they're good enough to get as far as they've made it, but they've been able to shut down that perfection line. Like Marchand, Pasta, and Bergeron, they've been shut down, but they've been able to manage it so far. But now they have two really good lines that they can't just put their best defense on one of those lines. They got to break it up and try to stop both of those lines.
Who do you think is the enforcer right now on that team?
I think so Frederick hasn't been playing. I thought he was it. And then when Kevin Miller's there, he's definitely that guy. But I think they have a couple guys that can chip in that aren't afraid to get their nose dirty.
The reason I ask, and not that he spent most of his time in the last couple of years pulling the puck out of the net after somebody scored. But Shara apparently he's the oldest NHL player to have a 5-minute major.
Wow.
I think there's some stat that flew by, and I just thought, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, he would get in a fight if the fight was right there. He wouldn't necessarily go enforcing, though. I mean, he didn't need to get it near anybody because he had a 38-foot stick. But I think it was just interesting to see that pop up, and I wonder how that fight came about. I didn't see the Capitals and what that was all about. But he apparently is the oldest NHL player to ever get a 5-minute major, which is pretty cool. I love him. Yeah. I miss him. That was $900,000 we could have spent well with the money Texas saved on the fake grass. If they could have sent us that, we could have. See how it's all connected? It's all connected.
Yeah. It comes around eventually.
Right. Do we want to go derby or draft now? Because I'm horrified about all the things. But
either derby.
Let's go derby for
Save the draft for last.
I was just going to say it, and I'm going to say it correctly. And people fight me on this all the time. Look it up, because people are champing at the bit. The horses champ at the bit. It's not chomp at the bit.
They don't chomp.
Oh,
champ at the bit. Yes, because I've said it before. And people are like, it's chomping at the bit. I'm like, no, it's champing at the bit.
Honestly, that really just made the reason getting on this show. Right? I'm glad I know that now.
You have wasted 48 minutes of my life. We are all dumber now.
But here we are, and now I know that it's champing at the bit.
Yes. Now, see, I made you all wicked smart to head back on your lives.
Thanks, Timmy.
Everybody's at dinner tonight. Honey, did you know it's champing at the bit?
Would you shut up? Where did you learn that, Tim Lindsay? Great.
It is. It's champing at the bit. Anyway,
champing at the bit.
Yeah, so move your squash out of the way so we can see your boyfriend behind you. There he is. God bless him. Now, am I wrong? It's Bob Baffert. That's his 7th win.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's also the horse that Brady had money. Brady's tied to that horse, isn't he? He has a financial interest in that horse, Medina, didn't he?
I didn't see or hear that.
I swear to God, I read that in the tea leaves somewhere that he was somehow connected, which clearly
I'm going to look it up.
Quiet because maybe I'm the only person that read that. But I thought that was really cool. This is where I have to get better with the horses, rubber shoes. So we have a whole year to work on this. You can coach me through it.
No, we got to do the Preakness in 3 weeks.
Take my money. I'm happy to do it. So yeah. So I go on, and we talked about it last week. Obviously, I went bourbonic because the name. I went midnight bourbon because the name. And soup and sandwich. How can you not put all your savings on soup and sandwich? So I unfortunately went in, had no idea what I was doing. Like I'm doing win play show, and money's just evaporating out of my account, and I didn't go crazy.
Yeah.
We had finished golf Saturday, and we're sitting there getting lunch afterwards, and Aiden's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm going on Twin Spires to make an account. He goes, oh dear God. So I go in, I move $100 into the account. There was a PayPal charge. So it was I lost 105, 100 on the horses, $5 to PayPal. You're welcome. And I was just making, I don't know, I did a one play show, then I did all of them to win individually. And before I knew it, I was out of opportunities to lose more money. So I left it right there. We're driving to Aiden's. Aiden had a lacrosse game Saturday night, and we're driving to it perfectly timed as we're pulling into park. All of my horses weren't winning at that point, of course, right as soon as they started the race. And what was super disappointing, although I was excited, was I didn't get any horses in any of the Win Places shows. Although number 3, which was what was the Charlie horse?
Hot Rod Charlie.
Hot Rod Charlie. Thank you. Did you hear the story about those guys?
Oh, that's
super cool story.
The college For
Yeah,
instance,
5 kids from Brown that played football together, and they wanted to do something to stay connected after school. And one of them had a connection to an uncle that was a trainer and an uncle that was in the purchasing lanes, and they bought themselves a horse. And
Oh, that's cool.
Charlie. So 5 kids from Brown did okay, I would say, obviously.
So what you're saying is that next year we could have an ATB horse in the race?
We're
Well,
going to
the-
get ourselves the best mule, the best jackass going. We'll give them-
well, the horse that won, Medina Spirit, sold 3 years ago for $1,000.
Wow.
They bought that horse
insane.
for $1,000. So that's
Put
a
Bobby
pretty...
Dugan on the case.
Get Dugan on the ponies. Dugan loves the ponies.
I know he does.
So I did not do well at all. Did you come in with any cash at all?
Nope. I had my closest. I had a trifecta with 2 out of the 3 horses. I didn't have Medina Spirit. That was the horse that screwed me up.
Well, that brings me to my point. Like, this is a sport where you can't be like, oh, I like that name, I'm going for the long shots. Like the long shots,
Yeah.
when you run the numbers, the long shots are just that. Like usually, if you've got to really just pay attention to the fact
Soup and Sandwich came in last.
Of course he did.
Not in my heart. Not in my heart. It's such a great name. Can you imagine? At one point, though, I swear to God, at one point, and it's probably first turn, they were just like Soup and Sandwich coming around the outside, and it was like 3rd or 4th at that point, which was amazing. And then it went to hell in a handbasket, of course. Yeah, I like, because you want to chase like the 50 to 1s, and all the lines move right up until gate time, obviously. But I think, I had a 28 to 1, a 35 to 1, and that's all I was looking for was the long shot. And you really don't have a chance when it gets to that. You've got to just go with what the favorites are. So we'll be better when it gets to the Preakness, which I trust. Medina Spirit's going to be back, obviously. I hope Soup and Sandwich is back.
Yeah, because they go for the Triple
avoid it.
Crown. If they win the Triple Crown, it's a huge payout for the owners.
Yep.
So
Unbelievable.
they'll definitely be there in that race. But if they don't win that, they may not go to the Belmont.
Mhm.
I am pleased to report I am down $0.
Well, I was watching the
Because I
text.
did not
I was
bet.
watching our text thread, and I'm like, I feel like the senator from Connecticut hasn't shown us how much money he intends to lose at
Yeah.
6:57 p.m. on Saturday night.
I'm putting in a patio at my house, so all our money's tied up in paver
so-
stones.
That text I sent you, I added probably about 3 more bets to that ticket after
wow.
that text.
Yeah, money bags. He was making I'm like,
Seriously?
I don't know what to do. So I threw $100 into an account, and then Rubber Shoes throws up like you're shopping at the penny candy store. What did you place a couple of $3 bets?
Yeah, that's all you have to do. So I placed a bet on the Kentucky Oaks, which is the female race on Friday, and the trifecta that won that race paid out $230 on a 50-cent bet.
Wow.
What's the minimum bet you can make?
For the trifectas, you can do 50 cents.
Okay, so we're doing $2 bets in the
So you
place.
do 50 cents and you box it, so it ends up being a $3 bet total.
Okay, all right.
This is all like foreign language to me. Box it? What the hell does that mean?
So if you box it, so if you pick 3 horses, you box it, the ticket will have all 3 horses to win and place and all the combinations.
Oh, okay.
It's like a postage stamp in bingo. If you get the 4 corners.
Got it.
Got it. I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
All right.
Did you find out if
Oh, it's
Brady
like-
owns any of the horses? No.
He does not that I can find, not that I found.
Interesting. All right.
I think he just likes to show up in the ugliest outfit he can possibly find.
You don't like that look? No, you're not a big fan of the
Judge
Pharrell
Dillon.
hat, and
Cam
Yeah.
Newton told him about that look.
Yeah.
Definitely the hat.
it's the only
Speaking of
advice
Brady,
Cam
before we
can-
move on to the draft, did you guys? I sent you guys the link for the YouTube video of the virtual draftathon.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to
Oh
no,
my
I
watch it.
definitely want to check that out. Yeah, so they did.
You
virtual-
have to watch it.
It was him, Kevin Hart, Julian. Who else was in it?
Yeah, Shannon Sharp, Michael Strahan, Primetime, and Mariano Rivera
So
was
were
on
they-
it for a little while.
Were they
that's amazing.
commenting on the draft picks?
Oh no,
live,
no,
or-
they were just busting each other's balls the whole
Oh.
time. It was so funny. You have to watch
Okay.
it. I mean,
How
even if
long
you
was
just
it?
watch the part, because Brady and Edelman jump off after like 30 minutes. Even if you just watch the first 30 minutes, it's hysterical.
Brady
And
Edelman, like,
Strahan, really busts Brady's balls about the Super Bowl and
Mhm.
says, basically says like, if you gave me 2, I would give you the one that I stole from you, and that way, you'd have that one. But I'd have two. So it was funny.
Oh,
You have to
boy.
watch it.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I'll put
definitely
the
watch
link
that.
in the show notes.
Yes. Perfect. All right. So on to the draft. And we'll bet $2 bets on the Preakness. On to the draft. Obviously the biggest thing that we're all waiting for is he going to trade out of the out of that 15 pick. And I was excited thinking that we were going to go, the fact that Justin Fields or Mac would be there, because it would have been interesting to see him make that choice. And then obviously when they traded up for the Chicago pick, Chicago traded up to grab the pick and take Justin Fields, it became the only choice, although he still could have stepped away, because it would have been interesting if he had the choice and didn't take either one of them. You'd be like, oh, he wasn't even going quarterback, which would have been ultimately horrifying. And I think a lot of fans feel the same way. I like the Mac Jones pick. I'm not in love with it. And I guess I'm growing an affinity for it, because like everybody the next day is like, he's a guy, like Justin Fields is going to be a bust. Like easy to say that now, because we don't get a chance.
Of course it is. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Like everybody's in love with Mac Jones and all the dad bod comparisons between him and Brady's draft.
Right.
Right. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm happy that we took a first round quarterback. And I think he's been saying apparently ever since the national title game that he only wanted to be here. So that's
interesting.
Yeah, it's really intriguing.
See, I like it because one, it's the one draft at the pro day that Belichick went to. They didn't trade up. They didn't trade back. They stayed there. They took that guy. So, and I'm thinking that's the guy they wanted all along.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the footage from inside the draft room?
Yeah.
With Belichick calling him, and then Kraft gets on the phone and he's like, it's really great that you had a 4.0 GPA. And, I mean, the guy, it's kind of impressive, actually, if you think about it. The guy finished his with a 4.0 GPA in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
He also has his MBA, which is incredible. I mean,
Yep.
just to think about the amount of work that is involved in that, and to be a top tier quarterback. I mean, I like the pick from a football standpoint, but just from a human being standpoint, he seems like a patriot type of guy,
See, I'm thinking that's the thing. He's smart enough to process everything in front of him quickly. And I think that's what you really need to do.
And he doesn't throw any interceptions.
The physical ability is only going to take you so far, but
Right.
if you can't read defenses and outwit the defense, then that's when you start getting in trouble.
Right.
And all the comments too, like everybody's like, he's not athletic. Like we just dealt with 2 decades of not athletic. Like,
right.
God, like we had this lightning rod in the pocket before,
Not athletic just won the Super Bowl, people. All right. So let's, calm down with the non-athletic.
Exactly. And as Charlie Weiss on talk shows was talking about the fact, he's like, listen, he goes, all this kid just did was win a national title.
Right.
And everybody argues, well, yeah, but he's a jockey on a really good horse in Alabama, because you're playing with all like 6 number 1 picks. 6 first round picks came out of Alabama, right? And I appreciate that. At the same time, and no disrespect to Lord Brady, although as soon as the talent around him started to erode, and erode in New England means be less than pretty good, because we never had superstars around Brady. He always did Magic Johnson, the crew.
Just that one year they went 18-0.
Right.
No, that was 17
or
18-1.
18-1.
18-1.
Oh, 18-1. Right. You're right. So I guess what's interesting is everybody says, well, he did that, but he was at Alabama. Okay. He was at Alabama. He also started at Alabama.
Right.
Like all the things that you're trying to take away from him were like really cool things. To your point, finishes his undergrad in 3 years, gets his MBA, quarterback in a national title team.
Right.
And managing as the quarterback, managing all, I mean, yes, Nick Saban was behind him too, but managing all those attitudes in the locker room. There's a lot of personalities in that Alabama locker room, right? So there's a lot of things that translate well. And a lot of people were saying too, Saban and Belichick are so in alignment that he knows what he's getting into.
Right.
Yep. He's going from a collegiate asshole program to a professional asshole. Right. You're just moving to a new grumpy old man. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But Saban dresses a little bit better.
I don't understand this whole thing too, though. Like, okay, so he had a bunch of, studs around him. Okay. Well, if he makes it to the NFL and he makes it to a Super Bowl, he's going to need to have studs around him too. He's not going to, be throwing to a Julian Edelman on one leg and still make it to the Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen. Right. I mean, So, I mean, even if you look at Patrick Mahomes, people think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but he's got a team around him, like a team
Right.
of all-stars around him. So it doesn't happen. You don't go to the Super Bowl with nobody, you know? So
No.
it's not like he's coming in and being expected to be the only, Pro Bowler on the team.
And and does anybody think he's going to start? I don't think he's going to start.
No.
I
He'll
think
be Cam this year probably, and then he'll start next year.
of the quarterbacks that went, though, if you look at the 5 quarterbacks that went in the first round, he's the one that could. Minus Lawrence. Lawrence is going to go in and start. I don't think there's anything about them that thinks that Gardner Minshew is going to take the majority of the snaps during summer camp. Is probably not going to be the case. I think he's going to start, obviously, and I think that
But Wilson might as well.
Do you think so?
Well, who do the Jets have?
Well, that's true.
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't matter who the Jets put under center. They're gonna be
I
terrible
feel
anyways.
bad for that kid. Like, I think that's going to get melty. I don't know. Like, I don't. We have a better looking Sam Darnold now. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
good looking kid. I think they need to do something to give him some breathing room.
If you if you were a quarterback that was getting picked in the NFL draft and they called your number from the Jets, do you turn it down? I mean, you kind of feel like you would turn it down, don't you? It's like, I'm not going to New York. I'm not playing for the Jets. The Jets are just a defunct organization, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't. Well,
Yeah, but also you could be the person to turn it around. So there's you get that with it. I turned around. I'm the next Broadway Joe.
If it goes well, he's a genius. If it doesn't go well, he can't really lose that conversation. I think they got to bring somebody in.
That's true.
To give him some breathing room. Anybody. Like,
we don't.
And this honestly could be very Brett Favrean. It could be Aaron Rodgers.
Could be.
I mean, apparently they're working really hard to keep him happy in Green Bay, that's a whole nother conversation. The fact that he just signed $100 million deal and like he's mad and he wants to leave now.
Yeah,
that was really weird. But I think they're going to bring somebody in to give that kid. Zach Wilson needs some breathing room. I think they're going to be really. I would
like to on a future show. We don't have to do it tonight, but I would like to dedicate some time to acknowledging just how bad the New York football programs are, because they have just been horrible for so long. I know the Giants. Everybody's trust me. I live around a million Giants fans because it's super annoying because we're so close to New York.
Yes,
and they always say, "Well, we beat you once," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, we've won 3 since then." So I mean, like, what are you talking about?
Twice, yeah, the Jets
twice. I know they beat us twice. I know that's what they say. We beat you twice, not beat you once. But they're just horrific, and they can't get out of their own way. Ever since Strahan left, the Giants have been terrible. Everybody thought what's his face, Danny Dimes or whatever his name was. Yeah. Everybody thought he was going to be the next coming, and that hasn't.
He's only been there 2 years.
Yeah,
give him a chance.
So I hope they stay terrible. I'm just saying. I think we should take time to it.
So then we went. Was it defensive end after
defensive tackle?
Defensive tackle, right?
Christian Barmore.
Also Alabama, or was he OU? He was Alabama.
No, it was Alabama, Oklahoma.
That's what it was. Perkins and and we finally at the end took the wide receiver.
Yeah,
which is interesting. Yeah.
University of Central Florida.
Yep, UCF
was it Trey Nixon, I believe his name was.
Yep. So defensively, I feel like when he made the defensive pick, which was that second round pick, I know he was in the draft room at Gillette, but I feel like I've just pictured him like on the couch in Nantucket and like Linda Holiday running over to put a compress on his forehead, like, see, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Because he must have had just an absolute conniption going offense and going quarterback, which needed to happen. And there's a lot of talk about whether his hand was forced to actually do that, which I don't think. I think they knew that was their guy, to your point, rubber shoes.
Yeah.
Had to go there. But then after that, it was a straight run of defense because they loaded up with groceries in the offensive department during the offseason. Like they've already accomplished all that. But I think that one young wide receiver at the end wasn't really a shock. And I also love the safety they took too. I can't think of his name now because I have none of the names in front of me right now.
Yeah.
They grabbed the safety from I'm gonna bring it up now.
I listed it all on the Rubber Shoes wrap up one morning.
Of course you did. Killing it.
Our crack research team, Rubber Shoes in the morning.
Yeah, we're all doing that right now.
Yeah.
What's his name? I don't know.
Yep.
He's probably going to get cut before the season ends. I mean, before preseason ends, anyways.
Oh my God. And the running back, Ramondre Stevenson from Oklahoma, he's a truck. Excited about him.
Oh yeah,
I saw somebody. That's what it was from Mizzou.
What's his name?
Joshua Bledsoe from Mizzou, the safety.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, how could I forget that last name?
Yeah. Bledsoe, yes.
Bledsoe.
The notes on this article I'm reading: New England used Kyle Duggar and Adrian Phillips in a hybrid star role. Kyle Duggar. So now we have Bledsoe, which is amazing.
Hybrid star role.
Yeah. But
The thing with the defensive tackle from Alabama, Christian Barmore, he was the few reports I saw on him that he was the number one defensive tackle in the draft.
Which
I
is
saw that
amazing.
too.
Like we super lucked out with that.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm watching the second round, and I'm just kind of not really paying attention because the Patriots weren't picking for a little further down. And then I see their name up. I'm like, oh, it's their turn already. And then I see the trade. I'm like, oh, of course they traded out of the second round. And then they're like, the Patriots are on the clock. I'm like, oh wait, they traded up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
We took a quarterback in the first round, and they traded up to pick another pick. I'm like, oh, something's going wrong.
Yeah, everybody started drinking heavily at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I live here anymore. Honey, nail down the furniture. I'm going to make my early prediction, or what I would like to see happen just with the Buccaneers in the coming season, because the Buccaneers are coming to Gillette, which is going to be amazeballs. And
we should try and get tickets to that game.
Those will be off the chart, but yes, we can. Yeah. Well, if you're saving for pavers, Barbara, I don't think.
It'll be done by the start of the season. I promise.
Oh, okay. You'll be saving again. In the grand scheme of things, I have a lot of weird rules, but here's one of my rules. If you build a new ballpark, put down real grass. Second new rule. The second rule is, anytime we play somebody during the regular season, if they are going to be a playoff opponent, I want to lose in the regular season.
Agreed. 100%.
We have a history of, if they take our lunch money before January 1st, we will probably get them in the playoffs. So Brady can come in and have his way with us in the playoffs, in the regular season. Because
that means we play them in the Super Bowl.
If we have to see them again, like I want the juju, I want the good juju of going into the playoffs, owing them a loss.
Yes. Well, if you recall, that season we went 18-1, we pounded the Giants on the last game of the season. I mean, I know it was like a throwaway because we rested a bunch of people.
Sure.
Wow, they went after I was actually at that game.
We were going after undefeated, so we played up.
Oh, right. Sure. That's right.
Yeah, the Giants were sitting people.
That's right. The Giants were sitting people.
We played up.
That's right. Yes.
We were going for the undefeated season, which and he was going for 50 touchdowns. I think, did he end up with 51 that year or whatever? Some incredible stuff. I truly feel like if I don't want to win that game, which is horrible.
Yeah,
for them to
totally
take the lunch money. But I think if we do win, I'll be horrified going to the playoffs.
Belichick wants to win that game, though.
Of course he wants to win that game. Absolutely.
And I hope we do. And I hope I'm completely wrong. I don't know if I want to live in a planet where there's a two-week media run-up to Brady and Belichick. Like, do you want to live in that universe? Like,
listen, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. What were the Patriots last year? 7-9. I mean, come on, we're not.
If that happens, we're going down to the Super Bowl for Radio Row.
Rubber Shoes.
I love
put in for our credentials already.
Rubber Shoes has cajones the size of cantaloupes because he sent us a text message saying, "Hey, I already reached out to Mac Jones's people. We're going to try to get him on the podcast."
Still haven't heard anything back.
No, really?
Wait a minute. Hang on. No, that's not them.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was them. It's not them.
I know you handed out your direct line to them.
Yes. 1-800. Who are you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly, I can't even imagine what that kind of a buildup would be. That would,
it would be crazy.
It'd be, unbelievable. Well, but you just said like they were 7-9. you fail to remember we acquired the one, the only Nelson Aguilar over the offseason, right?
Wow.
So if anyone can deliver a playoff berth and a
Right.
Super Bowl, it's the capable hands of hot
Hey,
potato Aguilar.
he had really good hands last year with the Raiders. I know he had problems with the Eagles, but
I feel like Josh McDaniel is going to get him the stickiest gloves on the planet.
yeah,
Yes. Was it who was it? Mike Haynes, the defensive back for the Raiders way back when we were kids.
oh yeah,
And they had
I
the
don't
stick
remember
'em.
that.
Stick 'em, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
they used to spray stick 'em on their hands before the
You guys are old.
development. You're welcome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Anyway.
Oh, so where did the tight end from BC end up?
Hunter Long ended up going to Miami, which kills me.
Oh,
I always
yep.
say to Jenny, now I just want the BC kids to go to teams that I can actually enjoy privately rooting for them. He went there. Isaiah McDuffie went to the Packers. So he's out there with AJ because that's where he went, the running back. And then we've got somebody got pulled into the Rams in free agency, didn't get drafted. And then the one other kid that I'm completely forgetting now is Max Richardson, and he went to another team that I can't remember because I don't have my notes in front of me because I didn't think we were going to talk about that. I don't want to bore you. What we can do is we can look at the list of where did all the UNH football players go.
Boy.
We'll save that segment.
Boy.
We'll save that segment for next time. You know.
Let's go to all the state schools: UConn, UMass, UNH. I don't think we had anybody in the draft.
That's the B side of their national championship hit record.
Ian Book went to New Orleans. I know that. That's
Yeah, I was surprised. You know, you bring that up. Ian Book, quarterback for Notre Dame, and I pictured him. I guess honestly, I would have thought that he would have been in the conversation of, the top quarterbacks.
no.
And I don't know. Like, I didn't even know he was coming out because I'm like, oh, okay. And then I see that he went to New Orleans, which is, I think, a great fit for him. Honestly.
So he's like the same size as what Drew Brees was. So he's kind of a small guy. He's only 6'1", not very big. So I think that's a good fit for them. They know how to use that type of quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fit. I mean, I don't want to see him do well for a myriad of reasons we don't have time to cover.
Yeah.
Above and beyond that, I think that's a guy. Honestly, I saw that and I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah, and I just was surprised that he didn't go higher than that. But oh well. Anyway, final thoughts, boys. Anything for us? What do you got?
Oh yes, I do. I have something, and I don't want to end on a somber note, but Tim, it occurs to me today that it is 18 years since the old man on the mountain came crumbling down in New Hampshire.
Beautiful downtown New Hampshire. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you're mourning today or not, but I am.
If I remember correctly, I do believe our good friend, there's so many nicknames. So we're going to use what he was, Jay Michaels, way back in the day in New England. Jay Michaels was on the air, and he took a different take on that. And he pounded that very different take into the ground. We received numerous phone calls of displeasure. Let's just say
I wonder if he has any air checks of those shows. That would be awesome.
We have that.
We need to get audio of that.
I saw that on the news this morning. I said, "Oh my God, Dugan's probably going to queue up his air checks and run that back." Yeah. So for anyone outside of the New England area, the man on the mountain, Franconia Notch, it just fell off the side of Cannon and into the abyss. So now it's no longer there, but you'll see it on any state sign you see that's all carved out. It's always the man on the mountain. It's a historic thing. And they had done some structural stuff to it in the past to hold it in place. And then eventually just gave way. But
it was naturally forming, right? It was naturally formed, I mean?
Yeah.
The original,
They didn't build it. They just, somebody looked and like, oh my God, it looks like an old man's face. And that just took hold. And
then they were like, we need something to put on the signs in the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah. And then
throw that up there.
They printed the final license plate and all of a sudden crumbled. Yeah. 18 years ago today, which is unbelievable.
I can't believe it's been 18 years, but I remember listening to that show, the Jay Michael show, and he had all sorts of like sound bites of people falling downstairs.
People falling downstairs. He got his 4 hours worth out of that.
Yeah, he did.
For sure. All right. We want to remind you, you can track us down if you're looking
So-
for any of the content from our shows. Rubber Shoes, what do you got? for
Oh,
us?
it's a
Yeah,
single.
My final point is
Oh, you're fine. Okay. All right.
if the
Please.
Bruins get 1 point tonight, they clinch a playoff spot.
That's
Oh, all
amazing.
right.
That's good to know.
Will that be on the roundup tomorrow morning? We didn't even touch
It-
on the roundup much.
The wrap up, the
Rubber
rubber
Shoes
shoes
wrap
wrap up.
Yeah.
Wrap
Well,
up,
he's
sorry.
not listening. That's why he doesn't know it's the wrap up. The wrap up.
I was too busy
It's
trying to figure out
wrestling.
which
It's a
hosses to
wrap-up.
pick.
It's a wrestling move. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
It's not a roundhouse kick. It's a wrap
Yeah.
up. Yes. Yeah. We'll have all that for you. You can
The-
always find Rubber Shoes doing the wrap up in the morning, usually across most of our socials. Where do you put it first? Does it usually go right into the Instagrams?
The Instagram TV and then Facebook
Perfect.
off of our page, and I usually share it on my personal page as well.
Yes. And
All
as well,
joking
always
aside,
remind
it's
you- Go
it's
ahead.
lighting up. It's lighting up the interwebs. At my
Yeah.
Instagram every 5 seconds I get a new notification on my phone, and it's nothing that I posted. It's all Rubber Shoes round. What is it? Roundup?
Wrap up.
Oh my
Wrap up. Got it.
Wrap up.
We're gonna get you a shirt and a hat, Adam.
We have a
Holy
link tree,
smokes.
though. I know that we have a link tree. I know
Yes,
for a
we
fact
do.
we have a link tree.
We do have a link tree, which the good news there is if you go and watch him on Instagram, you can always go up into our bio to click the link tree, which has the link to our podcast, the link to YouTube, Insta, Twitter, and of course, Facebook. So if you're looking for all of the video content, if listening to our dulcet tones isn't enough for you and you actually want to look at our mugs, you can go to atbshow.com, which will pull you into the YouTube page. All the socials are on the link tree, and we'll see you right back here next week where I'll complain about artificial turf and Brady's pocket square, I'm sure, because we didn't really go into the outfit, but we will. Thank you, boys. Have a great week.
See ya.
Later.